I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. There's another paid request, one of two for Eric. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, randomness, reviews, re-reviews, topics, out of the blueness, I'll try to get to it as soon as I can. You can either send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. I don't know why I can't speak. Why am I sounding like Dracula sucked me off? And not in the way that we want to be sucked off, but like... Well, some people want that either, but that ain't my cup of tea. I want the other sucked off. Well, anyway. Dracula from 1979. I had never seen this before, even though I had heard of it. And the thing of it is, this has a lot of good people involved with. Talented people. I mean, you go through the list... Frank Langella is the star. Now, I like him as an actor. Usually he plays the bad guy. He was Skeletor in the Dolph Lundgren film He-Man Masters of the Universe. He did a good job as Skeletor. He was the bad guy in Cutthroat Island. Frank Langella, I mean, he's been in quite a bit of stuff and usually does a fairly solid job. And he was a pretty good Dracula here. He definitely had an elegance, a sophistication, and you just see why people would try to trust Dracula, and how he could woo women, and he had the right thing to say. Yeah, I want to have your loyalty, and I want you to try to understand. Like, this seems like a bit of a smarter Dracula. Like I said, a bit more sophisticated. And like I say, you can see why folks would trust him fairly easily. Unlike, that was one of the weird things about Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like Gary Oldman, the way he looked so fucking weird and fucked up as that Dracula. I'm like, I know it's mean to say, but one look at him, I'd be like, bye. Sayonara, pal. You look fucked up. You look like your head is ready to give birth to a bunch of fucking spiders or something. Your face looks like it's falling apart at the seams, worse than what they do after plastic surgery in California. Sayonara. I don't trust you with a 10-foot cattle prod. Or a 12-foot dick. But this, you can see, and Frank Langella did a good job with that. John Badham. John Badham was the director. He did Saturday Night Fever, Stakeout with Richard Dreyfuss and Emilio Estevez, War Games with Matthew Broderick, Short Circuit with the robot Johnny Five. A very talented director. The Hard Way with Michael J. Fox and James Woods. Like I said, very stellar career for the most part. And this is an early film he did. Donald Pleasence is in the film. When I saw his name, I'm like, oh, I hope he's Van Helsing, no, but he does a good job. It's always nice to see Donald Pleasence. I'm a big fan of him ever since I saw him in Escape from New York and Halloween and Warriors of the Lost World. I believe that was the movie. He's been in quite a few others. He was James Bond villain, which was an inspiration for Dr. Evil in Austin Powers. But yeah, love Donald Pleasence. He plays a father of I think the father of Lucy. He also runs this loony bin. And then you have Laurence Olivier. He plays Van Helsing. I mean, what more can you say about Laurence Olivier? Famed actor. Did a fairly good job with the part. And the thing about Dracula... Oh, another one. John Williams. John Williams did the score. Of course, who did Jaws and Star Wars. I wouldn't say this is one of my favorite scores by John Williams, but he has some pretty good pieces of music. In particular the scene when Laurence Olivier is putting the cross to Frank Langella, and Langella says a line like, "Sacrilege! Sacrilege!" Like, the way that music played off, I thought that was fairly good. And it's a decent story. It fits the film that it's portraying. And the thing is with this, it's hard to do a Dracula movie because this is an adaptation that we've seen done multiple times, and you get the positive and negative of that. The positive being, if you're familiar with the story and you enjoy the story, you like the way it plays out, you're a sucker for it, then kind of easy comfort food. But the problem is, if you've seen it many times before, you're going, okay, what is this going to do differently, so it just doesn't become an absolute repeat. And the way it does that is, again, with the cast, and like I said, there's a certain air of sophistication and the performances and the way it's filmed. And the version I saw, which I guess is on the Blu-ray, I guess it got color timed, where for the longest time it was not the color that the director and folks who made it wanted it to be, and so that when Scream Factory got, I think it was Scream Factory that released the Blu-ray, they were able to do the color they wanted, so it's a bit of a monochrome, almost black and white. Was usually, I'm like, just make it black and white or color, but it fit with this kind of movie though. Because when I think of Dracula, I think of the Bela Lugosi. Some people also think of Christopher Lee. So maybe it even fits with the period that's trying to tell, the story's trying to tell. It's not too shabby in this instance. And I was also surprised by some bits of gore in this. It's not crazy, but there's some bits that I'm like, oh shit. I mean, early on we see someone get a piece of their neck ripped open. There's a person that gets their fucking head twisted in a 180. There's a person that gets stabbed right through. It's not gory like a Friday the 13th. No, but it's like, again, there's certain instances I'm like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming. And like you said, the actors in particular, Frank Langella, Laurence Olivier, Donald Pleasence, the guy who plays Jonathan Harker, he was there. And he was there. He was alright. He was alright. Same with the girl who plays Lucy, who becomes the attraction of Count Dracula. She's fine as well. Mainly in those scenes, I was just watching Frank Langella work. Like I say, I could be wrong, but I would assume people who are fans of the novel, this might be a Dracula they would hone their interest more towards. Because Bela Lugosi, which is my personal favorite Dracula, is Bela Lugosi. Because I like his Hungarian accent. I like his demeanor and the way he moves and talks. Anytime I think of Dracula, I think of that. People go, it's over the top. But I love the way Bela Lugosi worked. He was committed. He wasn't sleepwalking. And I actually rather appreciate that. I know a lot of people's favorite is Christopher Lee. He did a good job as Dracula. I would say Bela Lugosi's my favorite. My second favorite is actually Duncan Rader and the Monster Squad. That's an underrated Dracula. So I would say that's my second favorite. This might be my third favorite, because I was rather impressed by Frank Langella. And again, like I said before, when you're telling the similar story of Count Dracula's arrived, and you have this guy wanting Dracula to sign these papers over to him, and then one girl gets sucked dry and is going to turn into a vampire, and that's how they really find out there's vampires, and she needs to be stopped. And then Dracula wants the bride, and they gotta stop Dracula. You got Renfield, who likes to eat bugs. This is stuff you've seen many times before. How does it do things differently? I think John Badham did some nice shots in this. In particular, the mood it sets when Dracula arrives and has all this mist around him, done practically. Or there's a nice shot where he jumps out. As he jumps out a window, when it goes through, it's a wolf going through this way. Granted, we know now that window is going to be the transition, but for 1979, fairly decent. I actually like the look of the loony bin. In a weird way, like the loony bin just seemed more dour in a weird way. Like it's a very, like, man, I don't know why, something about the loony bin seemed like a really sad, depressive place to be. Maybe it's just the way the sort of walls, cages looked. I don't know how to put it. I just like the way the loony bin was featured in this. And certain things that bit kind of weird, I will say, though. Like when the first girl's been sucked, who's Van Helsing's daughter, he's wondering, hey, there's something else going on here. There's a point where he uses a white horse, because I guess the horses will be scared, and so the white horse is going around the graveyard, and it freaks out on this one grave, and then they go. As I don't know, I've never seen that before, using a white horse to detect a vampire. That was a bit weird, but okay. Also, I thought it was a bit weird that they find the grave where Van Helsing's daughter was in. I like the idea that she clawed out and there's these mines under the town. I wish they used those mines more. I actually think that'd be even more interesting set pieces. Okay. Well, I think there's a bit or two later on, to be fair. But, and it's a nice shot, but it does raise questions. Where Van Helsing drops something, his cross, he's looking through this puddle of water. But in the puddle of water, we see a reflection of this girl. The reason it's a cool shot, why is she reflected? I thought vampires did not cast a reflection. And you go, well, they don't do that in this movie. Or I said that the wrong way. Oh, they do cast reflection. No, they don't, because, spoiler alert, for those who don't know anything about Dracula, when she's dead, and they're looking at her body, and they're Donald Pleasence and Laurence Olivier is trying to convince the third guy, they show him a mirror, he looks, and there's no reflection. So right there, and this is after this scene, so there's no reflection in the mirror, and then even Dracula says, I don't like mirrors, because he's not reflected in them. So they don't reflect in a mirror, but they do reflect in water. Cast a reflection or you don't. I know I'm mincing words on vampires, and vampires don't exist. I understand that, but that was a bit confusing They do reflect in water, but they don't reflect in mirrors. I mean, do they reflect... Okay, if I have this, do they reflect off this? Or no? I mean, it's a nitpick, but I'm just, again, just asking a question. Just asking a question. I do like the way the vampires look. Like, you see the ladies, very creepy eyes. I don't know how to put it. Like, it's like black, and you see like a white dot in the middle of them. It's, again, very creepy. When I first saw him, like, ooh, shit. Because I don't know, I just, films prior to this, it's just the girl, but she's got fangs. But the way her eyes look, that really sold that sealed the deal. I'm like, ooh, shit, that, again, very creepy look. And again, I like the sophistication and elegance between Dracula and Van Helsing. Like, trying to get Van Helsing, your will is strong. And then he pulls off the cross, and they have a nice back and forth. I actually would like to have seen a lot more verbal back and forth between these two. Because A, they're two good actors, and B, that rivalry between the two. I would still say the best of that would be the Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee back and forth. Because they're two great actors. So I would say Peter Cushing is still my favorite Van Helsing. That'd be an interesting edit if somehow someone did it. Bela Lugosi's Dracula and Peter Cushing's Van Helsing. I mean, in the world we have today, I'm sure there's a way to do it, but again, if someone did that mashup, again, Bela Lugosi's Dracula and Peter Cushing's Van Helsing, that'd be really cool to see. I don't know how to do it, but I'm just saying that'd be really cool to see. I realized I had seen clips of this film before because a long time ago, and you may be able to find it on YouTube, there was a VHS tape called Monster Mania, I believe, which I think was like an hour or 50 minutes long. It was hosted by Jack Palance. Jack Palance from City Slickers 1 and 2, Shane, Batman 1989, he had a bit part in there. He was the villain in Tango and Cash. Cops and Robertsons, for all two of you remember that. But yeah, Jack Palance hosted it, and it tells a history of monster film. Now, if you watch it nowadays, you're not going to learn anything new, but it was a fun nostalgic piece, and Jack Palance was a perfect narrator for that. That's really what sealed the deal for me, why I enjoyed it. Again, just pretty much, hey, these are films you've probably already seen, but there's nothing in-depth or deep you don't find out information-wise. Just kind of a fun, I don't want to say fluff piece, but Monster Mania makes me want to watch it again, actually. But yeah, it might be on YouTube. I think one person uploaded in parts. Anyway, back to this. I actually think Jack Palance played Dracula. Now that I think about it. But yeah, this was featured in that because it was talking about, the different Draculas that were done. Not the Monster Squad, sadly, but, the others. And like I said, once in a while, a little piece of violence would happen when, oh, shit. And, like, certain way scenes were directed. Like I said, with Dracula entering the room to see Lucy and all this mist around him. It's some decent pieces direction by John Badham. I don't know if the movie needed to be as long as it needed to be. I think there's about 10 minutes, give or take, you could edit out to help the pacing a little bit. A spoiler alert, spoilers. The way it ends, I'm not really sure about, because Dracula stabs Van Helsing. Van Helsing is able to throw a hook into the back of Dracula. The other guy raises it, and then Dracula burns up a bit. And then everything seems fine, and she looks up, and Dracula's dead, but she sees her cape floating around, and then she smiles, and then the movie ends with just the cape floating around. I guess because, number one, just sad to see Van Helsing die. Granted, rare. It's not many times they do a Dracula adaptation that Van Helsing dies. So, I didn't. It definitely tried to do stuff a little bit different with this. I will be... that's a positive, instead of just the same Xerox stuff. But the way he died, Frank Langella's character, I guess I wanted something bigger. Something big, grand, or a bit, whether it be a big effect from burning up, or catching on fire, or melting all the way. Pretty much he screams, and then you get some alright makeup on his face. But it just was like, okay, he got pieces of skin hanging off. He got burned a bit. Like if you scrape the skin off, he's gonna look like a little bit like Freddy Krueger. But I guess I just wanted something bigger with his death scene. And then with the cape, I guess the idea is maybe he's not dead, or he'll be back one day. And it's like, okay. Not that they did a sequel, but... oh, that ending, I guess I just wanted a little bit more oomph to the finality of it. But overall, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind the cast. I did not mind the mood it was setting up. And like I said, Frank Langella, Laurence Olivier, always nice to see Donald Pleasence. Like I said, some nice, decent pieces of direction. A few nitpicks here and there, but overall, yeah, didn't mind the film. Did not mind the movie. So, with that said, if you're a fan of Dracula, the story, you've never seen this version, it's worth a look. It's definitely worth a look if you're at all a fan of the Dracula storyline. And like I said, it doesn't feel like just a carbon copy. A lot of it's fairly the same, but it does feel enough of trying to be its own thing that there's at least a merit to it, at least to me, in my opinion. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.